This video, I'm going to share with you something that I have really never shared on my channel before. It's something that I believe to be so powerful that if people use it in a negative way, it's something that I would feel responsible for sharing. So what I've done is I've kept kind of this information back because I don't want people using it for the wrong intentions. And it's something that I've been applying in my own life for about the past few years now. It's completely revolutionized it, allowed things to manifest easier, allowed me to be more present, allowed me to really trust the universe more, allowed things to come to me with more ease, where I don't have to chase it, I don't have to try. You could say that there's people on the planet that know how to use this ability, but maybe don't use it in the best ways. They use it in ways to control different aspects of the planet. And I want to share with you in this video so that we can to really help you understand more about yourself and also more about how you can create your dream reality. This is something that is also, by reading many different books, Autobiography of a Yogi being one of the main ones, I was able to really tune to this and see how this works in a macrocosm, microcosm level. And it has to do with the understanding that can be kind of scary to some people, but it is something that is also one of the most powerful insights you can possibly have. And it's rooted in this understanding that everything in our life, if you look at the levels of consciousness, different levels, different emotions, understand that as you feel, you are able to heal and release emotions at the bottom levels so that you elevate your vibration to a level to where reality literally can become more magical, where you can't really explain how and why different things are happening. You could say things like literally miracles can happen. And I'm someone that's very grounded and practical. I don't know which videos of mine you've seen before, but I really do focus on things that are actually practical. I try not to, when I explain things that might be a little bit more esoteric, I try not to be too woo-woo and about it. I try to really ground it in more of an understanding of how reality might work. Now the thing is from studying the book Autobiography of a Yogi, what it became very apparent of is that was written by Paramahansa Yogananda. And let me also say this is something that has been documented that many, I think hundreds of people have seen. When Autobiography of a Yogi, the author Paramahansa Yogananda, he died back in, I don't even know, the 40s, 50s, something like that, 60s. When he died in Los Angeles or in LA or California, somewhere in California. And when he died, he literally was healthy, decided it was his time to go. He gets into this bed. He has a live conference where he invites people. He's got an audience. He then makes some profound statements, gets in lays on this bed, and leaves his body. Like that. Just no breath, one last breath, leaves his body. Without taking, pharmaceuticals or anything. He just leaves his body, and for a month, his body did not deteriorate. It was still glowing a month later, is what people say. And it's like this phenomenon. But energetically, Paramahansa Yogananda was also at a very high level of consciousness. Paramahansa Yogananda also shares in that book, which by the way, this is the one book Steve Jobs, not saying he's the most enlightened person in the world or anything, but Steve Jobs, a very powerful archetype within our collective reality. There was one book at his funeral, at Steve Jobs' funeral, there was one book in the iPads that he gave away. It was the Autobiography of a Yogi. It was the one book he read every year, the last 40 years of his life. Because it really helps you understand more about consciousness and how reality really works and how this is a dream that we are currently experiencing. That everything is a reflection of the one. That we are both drops in the ocean as well as the ocean in the drop. And what was talked about in Autobiography of a Yogi, that it's kind of trippy. And you can kind of feel into the book to see if it resonates with you, because some people could say, well, maybe he was just saying that. There weren't cameras there looking at what Paramahansa Yogananda was saying, but I do believe Paramahansa Yogananda was at a very high level of consciousness, especially for back in those times, like in the early 1900s. One of the things that he also saw in his life is many times he had these different mystical experiences Where one time he met this like guru guy that was enlightened, who was like 400 pounds, and he would assume that this 400-pound guru ate a whole bunch, but actually was a 400-pound guru who never ate. It's kind of like, what about thermodynamics? The more calories you eat, the more you gain weight, right? Apparently this guru never ate. There's some things in this book that completely defied the laws of physics. And that's what this guru was known for. It was to help people rewire the belief of like how really reality works. There was also there's a chapter on the sleepless guru. This guru that never slept, that was always in this certain level of consciousness, kind of glowing, and being in this person's field would just energize you to a point that you could hardly believe. He said it was so hard that he couldn't even sleep around the sleepless guru because the energy was so high. And he didn't believe it or something like that, but then he went and spent time with this person and realized that it was the real deal. There was an experience that Paramahansa Yogananda had as well, where I don't know if he had it or he was telling his guru, was explaining it, Sri Yukteswar, I don't know if I'm saying that right, where somebody died, literally died, like body dead, and then brought back to life by the power of like a certain guru using the oil of a lamp or something like that. And there are these different mystical experiences that really show that reality may be very different than what we think. Using the powers of elevating our level of consciousness. Now, I'm not saying that you need to elevate your level of consciousness, that you can bring people back from the dead, you can do all these things, but what I am, and I will share with you that has completely transformed my life, is the more I've allowed myself to feel and heal these bottom level emotions of anger, fear, guilt, and shame, the more I've been able to raise and elevate my vibration to a point to where my life has become very, very magical. Where I've noticed that synchronicities happen easier than ever. I've also noticed that the more I follow my passion, my purpose, and loving what I'm doing, the more magic happens. The more I'm in the right place at the right time. One of the things I knew when I did something back in May is for the first time I did my own live event. It's called the Shift Experience. It was a 3-day transformative live event here in Austin, Texas, that involved that of breath work, transformational teachings, group work, group intention meditations. And I had so much fun doing it, so much fun connecting with like the 100-ish people that showed up, 80 to 100 people. And what ended up happening is, for me being in that state, it was like new opportunities were coming into my life because I followed that passion, I followed that energy. Realize you experience a reality that's equal to the vibration you are embodying. Everything in life also has no meaning other than the meaning you give it. That is both the most scary concept and also the most empowering concept. Everything has zero meaning other than the meaning you give it. We can look at many things in our life and give it a positive meaning. There are people that give dogs a very loving, positive meaning. And there are people that do not like dogs. I know it's hard to believe, but there are people out there that do not like dogs. They may think they're furry, their fur gets everywhere, they're kind of annoying, they slobber, they have all these, the meaning they've given to dogs is that dogs are annoying, negative, disgusting, whatever, therefore they don't like dogs. Whereas millions and millions, maybe the more collective reality belief is that dogs are unconditional, loving, and amazing. There are people that love cats and hate cats. What is the degree that determines that? A lot of times it's the meaning the person gives. The meaning the person gives. Some people say, I don't like cats because they're not always anxiously there waiting for me. They're not like, they don't love me in the way that I want to be loved. So what happens is then they develop the meaning, then maybe they don't like cats. Some people say, dogs are too much for me. They're always in my grill. They're always following me around, blah, blah, blah. I like cats. These are just examples. But I'm showing that it depends on the meaning. Some of the meaning could be root in past experience. Growing up, you had a dog that you loved that was able to love you in a way that you can't describe, and therefore you love dogs. Or same thing with cats. But the reason I'm sharing this is because the meaning may depend on the past experience, but you have the ability to reshape meaning in your life. When I looked at the things that kept me in lower vibration, that kept me attracting people like my ex-stepmom in my life, it's because I had anger towards my ex-stepmom from 7 to 15. I'm 20-something years old and still attracting managers and people in my life that are trying to control me, because there's a familiar energy there. The ego wants familiarity. And what I had to eventually do is become aware of that anger, and I had to forgive my ex-stepmom. I also had to allow myself to feel that anger. I've been through many breath work experiences where I'm breathing in a specific pattern, bringing in all this energy and this oxygen in my body, and it allows that energy to come up, to feel, to be released and expressed. There's been times where I rage in breath work, the anger towards my ex-stepmom, the anger towards maybe the situation, my dad, allowing it to happen, all these things, and I'm releasing this energy inside my body. And then afterwards, I feel so free. For the first time in years, I went through breath work. I went through breath work certification the last 4 days. Today's like my second day back from that. 4 days I was at a retreat, like pretty much 8-9 hours a day, learning breath work, learning how to facilitate it so I could do it for my challenges, my live events. And for the first time in many years, I used to always just have this story that like I don't cry. It's not something I do, and I felt I would feel shame about it. Like there's something wrong with me because I can't cry. Like I want to cry. I remember in breath work one time, somebody was telling me like, oh, that the anger you had, I was like angry. Underneath the anger, there's some like sadness there. You're not letting yourself cry, which of course that shame, that made me feel worse. I felt like, oh, I'm not crying. There's something wrong with me. And then finally, I was in this breathwork certification thing, and we do breathwork 2 or 3 times. We do breathwork on each other as we're learning it. We're learning about trauma and how to release that energy out of the body. And there was a moment when one of the facilitators came over to me. His name's Fish. He could tell I was on the verge of like crying. I could feel the energy in my heart and my body. And then he came over to me and he put his hand on my heart, and he said, "It's okay to feel, dog." That's what he said. And immediately, the energy started coming up. But it was funny, the energy started coming up, and I started crying, but there were no tears. And I was like, oh shit, see, there's something wrong with me. I want to cry tears. I want to cry, I want to release this energy. I knew there was like a deep sadness inside my body I wanted to release. So then what happened is, that was like one of the rounds. It was like 4 to 6 rounds of this breathing. It's about an hour experience. And that was like the first round. He came over, started to pop me. Then what happened though, is something very interesting. There was a woman that was in front of me that was screaming at the top of her lungs, like fear, screaming. I could just tell that there was sexual trauma there that she'd been through. And she was screaming like, no, and she was like releasing that energy. And right when she started to do that, I could feel the energy of my mom. My mom went through so much trauma growing up. She ran away from home because she was being abused. She was like 12 years old, she ran away. She ended up having foster parents. And my mom just had a very challenging, hard life. And my mom's been through a lot of like that kind of trauma, the same kind of trauma that woman went through. And when that woman released it, it released the energy of my mom, and all the energy that I think she'd had in her lineage, even ancestral trauma, released out of my body. And I started bawling, a sadness so deep that I hadn't experienced in my life at that point. And there were tears, they were pooling up in my ears, and I could just feel this energy finally starting to release, and I could just, that connection to my mom, that helped me release even more. And I released so much energy, and afterwards, I felt so free, and I was able to rewire this belief that like, it's not okay to feel. I was able to wire in this belief that like, there's not anything wrong with me. Trauma is a normal response to an abnormal situation, to an abnormal experience. Is one thing I learned over the course of those 4 days. And realizing that you can allow yourself to feel, it's okay to feel. It really helped me understand that. I give myself more permission to realize that I'm not someone that's like has this armor around me, and it's like I always have to have these walls around my heart. I'm able to feel. And since then I felt very more sensitive. I believe my energy's changed a lot. If you feel like if you've been watching my videos, I don't know where you found this video. You've seen my other videos. Do you feel like my energy has shifted? If so, like the video, so we could see if you guys can feel it. So the power of skyrocketing your vibration isn't just elevating and trying to move the bob up. It's just simply letting go. It's letting go and letting it be okay that you feel it. And when you feel it, you allow yourself to skyrocket up to a higher level of consciousness. You allow yourself to then be in this higher state to where there's more probabilities and synchronicities that are equal to that version of you, that are equal to that way of being. And as I've healed that energy inside of myself, I can tell I'm going to be attracting a whole new reality in because my energy has shifted. Now, whether that means maybe I could do the opposite of that 400-pound guru because I love food so much. Maybe I could eat like 6,000 calories a day and never gain a pound and just like remain lean. If I believe enough, maybe it'll happen. But maybe that's not the focus. Maybe the focus is more on me healing, feeling it, and allowing myself to raise up in consciousness. Now, by the way, if you want to try this very powerful breathwork technique, you can do so right now by going to www.magneticmastery.com. And there's that 3-day shift experience I was mentioning to you. Whole recording of that. HD recording. You can watch the whole entire event. On day 2, video 1 is the breathwork. You can watch that breathwork. It's all recorded in HD, and it's a whole there's music. It's a whole experience, and I believe it'll change your life. And if you want to check that out, you go to www.magneticmastery.com. Then listen to that and watch and comment. Let me know how much it affects you doing that kind of breathwork and how free you feel. And then also, if you want to learn how to attract your dream life by letting go of this one thing that changes everything. It was the key to me manifesting my dream life. It's the one thing if you let go of changes absolutely everything. Check this video out right here.
Buddha himself said that desire is the root of all suffering. Now, desire is actually the thing that keeps us wanting more and more, blocks things from coming into our life, and there is a magic that when we detach and we let go of things, we allow amazing